Hi, it's Jane Evans, the Lasting Life Change Coach, talking to you today about anxiety and depression. How do we recognise them in ourselves, and how do we recognise them in those we may be working with, living with, or supporting? As you can see, I'm out on my daily walk. I'm down by the brook. Make sure I don't drop my phone in. And I wanted to keep it really casual and really real today and not be so much in presenting mode, which can be a bit of a habit of mine because I do so much talking and TV stuff. But I wanted to be real with you. I wanted to tell you that until very recently in my life, I have had anxiety. Now, those who follow me might think, well, she always seems very confident. And when I've heard her speak, she delivers very well on what she's saying and all those kind of things. But in reality, we can have anxiety and still function really well in the world. It's just the background stuff that takes its toll. So what am I talking about? Well, the things that maybe aren't so apparent with people who have anxiety are the repetitive thinking that they go through. So overthinking all sorts of situations, and also what ifs. So when we have a lot of anxiety, we tend to try and plan ahead for every situation, have a solution, have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. And of course that all means that we don't get to be very present in the moment, and it causes a lot of stress. So physically, very tense body, often a racing heart a lot of the time, maybe trouble breathing, being a bit breathless. It also can mean that we tend to rely a lot on different forms of self-medication. So sometimes that can come through self-harming behaviours. So for example, a large amount of my life I relied on controlling my eating to act as a distraction away from the overwhelming emotional and physical pain and distress of having anxiety. So by restricting my food, I had immense physical pain, and also it meant that I had something I could think about 24/7. So then I wasn't so concerned about trying to control every aspect of my life and beat myself up about things that I thought I might have done wrong. So, a lot of people I work with now, they'll say to me, oh, every time I'm with people or I have a conversation or I do anything in life, then afterwards I'm convinced that I've upset somebody, and I replay all the conversations in my head, and I find things that I think that I've done wrong that's going to upset somebody. So look out yourself for signs that maybe your stress has moved into anxiety. So stress is when something is going on, it's maybe a tough situation, we have a deadline, then we achieve it, or the situation starts to improve and then it goes away and we go back to just, an average amount of stress that gets us up in the morning and gets us going. Anxiety is when that stress just does not go away. So everything flicks us into fight or flight, or sometimes into complete immobility and inaction. So look out for that. But also if you're working with people, sometimes behaviours that we think, oh, they're being aggressive or they're being unreasonable or they're not very engaged with what I'm doing, that can be how anxiety shows up. Because it's really, really hard to think straight, to be very friendly or very warm if inside your internal brain system and body system are running at 1,000 miles an hour. It doesn't leave you with many resources to be friendly and warm and engaging. That said, another way that anxiety can show up is people who are very, very smiley, very, very people-pleasing. They can't do enough for you. They're literally looking for the next thing they can do to make your life a bit better. Now, if you're on the receiving end of that, maybe that's quite nice, although generally it isn't, because it feels a bit overwhelming and a bit stressful to receive all that kind of heightened energy. But it's definitely not healthy for the person who's in that state, because they're having to work super, super hard emotionally and physically to kind of meet every need. And I mean, you can just feel the tension in them. So that's another thing to really look out for if you're working with children or young people or adults who just can't come out of that kind of very smiley, very yes, everything's fine state. Then that can be actually the kind of shop front of depression also. So anything that is not very natural, that doesn't feel very relaxed, that doesn't have some kind of rhythm to it, you know, sometimes we can all go a little bit woo, or we can become a bit shut down, and then we kind of pick ourselves up again. So there's a sort of modulation to it and a rhythm. Yeah, that's okay. That's normal. That's something that, you know, we can check in with people if they seem to be struggling a bit, and then if they come out of it, then okay, no, maybe no reason to panic. But it's always asking, are you okay? Are you really okay? And then waiting rather than rushing on to tell them about how you're feeling or to change the subject. You know, if you really want to find out how someone's feeling, then you need to slow down, calm down yourself. And that way you can tune into them at a much more intuitive level, rather than, you know, well, they seemed okay, or well, I'm not really sure, but they said they were fine. You know, we can get into that kind of habit because maybe if we're working with someone, we have a process to go through, or we have some kind of, I don't know, stuff that we need to deliver to them. But always, 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 your best friend in all of this is slowing down and really, really tuning into them. So that means before you are with them, you need to take a few breaths, really make sure that your body is very grounded, and then you'll be more open to picking up if their mood is very low, or if you can just sense that they're very, very distant. Because sometimes when we're suffering with depression, I mean, I had clinical depression years ago, it's like living behind a very, very thick frosted glass. You're not very animated. It's really, really hard to talk, think, do anything, to be honest. Or sometimes even people with depression will present as very smiley and very interactive. So I hope that this is helpful. And, you know, the thing is, you can live really, really well beyond all this stuff. I thought when I had clinical depression years ago that I would just go on and always have bouts of depression. I have not. I never would have thought, having been anxious since a child up until way, way, way into my 40s, probably nearly into my 50s, I'd never be free of it. But because I've accessed the right resources and understanding, do you know what? I might get a bit of stress now and again, but anxiety has completely gone. And that's entirely possible for you and those you support. So please, please do comment on this video and any of the other videos that you see, because this is about you. What are you taking away from this? Have you got something you can share with people, a comment that might help them understand all of this more and give them hope too? Or maybe you've got a video to upload. Okay, so keep well and, you know, try and do stuff like this. Get outside, go for a walk. I do this every single day if I can, even in the pouring rain, although today, beautiful sunshine. Right, take care and keep going and looking for ways to access your greatest wellness. It is possible.